Okay, so this is what I've been waiting to get to. So this is going to be a solo kata portion for what we call Sanshin no kata. Sanshin no kata being the 5 introductory or 5 basic forms that you learn and train from the very beginning until the very end of your Taijutsu career. So this Sanshin no kata, this is what Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu is built on. One thing to note is that Sanshin no kata, to my understanding, has 3 different levels. We will only be covering the very first level of each of the 5 kata, and really they are only supposed to really teach you how to move. You don't necessarily want to employ any of these the way that they are combative. So let's get started. All of these kata are going to be performed from Shoshi no Kamae, so what we covered in the Kamae portion right here, right? Weight is on my back leg, front hand is open, out in front of me, and my rear hand is going to be in a loose fist right about belt level. So first thing you do for Chi no kata is to take your Kamae, and you practice these kata on both sides. So from here, I'm going to take my Kamae, ich, ni, sun, into Shoshi no Kamae. And just like when you're doing ski, I'm going to shift my weight forward. I'm going to take a full step through. And I'm going to scoop this arm underneath, almost like I'm trying to tap somebody underneath the chin with my fingertips. Right here, notice how all my fingers are together, right? They're not broken apart, thumbs not sticking out, fingers are together. So this is out. And my rear hand is switching places with the starting position. So what was my front hand, so this hand right here is going to pull back to my waist, or back to my hip, into a loose fist. And this one back here, my rear hand, is going to come up and out. Now, it's very important to finish this first and then return to your starting position. So then you can do it on the other side as well. The last thing that you want to do with this, and again tying into bad mechanics, is you don't want to short stroke this, right? So you don't want to have a nice, really strong solid kamae, step through, whoop, and then pull it back before the movement is actually finished, right? You want to finish that and then bring it back. Even if you're doing it, and really I would not advise, especially a lot of beginners, to be doing this quickly. Even if you do this quickly, still finish the movement and then you can shift your weight back, right? So from the side, it's, ni, sun. So this is my Shoshi no Kamae. I'm going to take a small step back here to stay in frame. Shift forward, step, arm comes out, and now I'm going to come back. Okay, so that is Chi no kata. Just a few small things to watch out for. So previously mentioned, don't short stroke the kata, right? The very end strike, you don't want to whoop, do this. You don't want to finish it. You don't want to start pulling your weight back as it finishes. Ideally, you want to be, even if you're doing this fast, you want to finish first and then bring it back, right? And again, another point, especially for those beginners out there, and I can't stress this enough, do this nice and slow at first, right? Don't try to go fast, don't try to strike hard, just get the movement pattern down, just like if you're shadow boxing, right? If you're shadow boxing, you don't necessarily want to be throwing punches with the high intensity, the highest intensity, the most power that you can. Most cases, in a lot of cases when you shadow box, you just want to get into your rhythm, get your movement nice and slow, right? You want to get your movement down first before you start adding any speed or any power into it, right? And this is no different. And another thing to watch out for as well is going to be this, right? The tilting of the trunk, right? The tilting happening here at my lower back. And this applies to pretty much the majority of the movements that we do, but especially Chino Kata, because this is the foundation movement for pretty much the rest of the kata that you practice. Watch where this torso is, right? If you look here, my torso is relatively straight. Now there might be a small tilt in it, but when I come forward, the last thing that I want to do, actually I'm going to switch sides on this one. The last thing that I want to do is this, right? Try to stay completely straight. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not some sort of, I'm not some kind of anatomy specialist, but I think we all know by now that aside from your lower body, your upper body probably accounts for about 50% of your weight. If I want to get all of my weight here, I have to get a little bit of tilt in my torso, because now that's going to bring the weight from my upper body down onto the legs, right? It's not enough just to have this movement here in the legs. You also have to have the freedom to adjust the upper body to go with it, right? And again, this is not just Chino Kata. This is for Tsuki. This is for the other four of the Sanshin no Kata that we're going to cover, and pretty much almost every movement that you'll ever do. So that about covers it for Chino Kata. The next two are Sui no Kata and Kano Kata. So I'm going to lump those into the same portion here, just because they are very similar. But before that, I want to get some more Kihon work out of the way. So from Shoshin no Kamae, the beginning of Sui no Kata and Kano Kata, which are the names of the next two, is the very first movement is going to be Jodan-uke and a step, and those are going to happen together, right? So Jodan-uke and an uke, for clarification, does not mean to block, right? I think at some point when a lot of these Eastern martial arts were brought over to the West, a lot of the interpretations of uke basically became to block, right? Uke means to receive, right? It doesn't mean to actually block a movement. I'm just using this to initiate contact with somebody or something, and that's just about it. I'm not trying to block it from coming at me. I could be deflecting it, I could be catching it. I'm just trying to receive it, right? I'm not really trying to block it. And the way the Jodan-uke is performed, or any of the, Jodan-uke, Gedan-uke, Chudan-uke, these are almost essentially strikes, right? They're not actually, blocking motions. These are really offensive motions designed, essentially used in a defensive manner. So, Jodan-uke from Shoshin no Kamae, I'm going to make a nice big circle here, and this is just going to finish right up in front of me, and it's not really far out, it's not super far in. My elbow is a little bit more, so the bend in my arm here is a little, I don't like using numbers much, but this is a little more than 90 degrees. Out here, but remember, elbow still down, don't want that flaring up. This is right in front of me, and I'm putting that together with this step here on this angle that we call naname, or diagonal. Boom, right there. And if somebody ever tells you that you can't step with all your weight on the one leg, that's total BS. I just did it. So again, we're going to do it slower, but now this movement's going to go together. You want to time it so that both of these end at approximately the same time, right? So because this circle with the arm is the bigger movement, I want to start that first before I actually move with that leg. So that could be a solo drill all on its own, right? You do that a few times per side. If you're really hardcore, do that a few hundred times per side. So that's Jodan-uke. So now we're going to continue and build on that and go to Sui no Kata and Kano Kata, which are the next two Sanshin no Kata. So again, starting from Shoshin no Kamae. 1, 2, 3, right? Nice strong Kamae. Very first thing, I'm going to be initiating with Jodan-uke, shift my weight forward, and at the same time, I'm going to bring my rear hand from my waist up here into the crook of my elbow. So I'm gonna come closer. You can see this, I'm bringing this right into the crook of my elbow, and again, loose fist. Right here, elbow down, now up. I'm gonna step through, and I'm gonna strike with shito, right? Or knife hand, sword hand, whatever you wanna call this. All right, again, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright, so that brings us to the end of part 1 for Sanshin no Kata. This will be continued in part 2, so I hope everyone will go and check that out. Once again, you can find us at Hakubaidojo.com. Facebook, you can find us on Facebook at Saga Taijutsu, and you can also find us on Instagram at Hakubai-Dojo. Happy training.